Awaken! A little siren there, ready for some spiritual manna. Welcome to the Good Info Cafe, where multiple intelligences meet each day. I'm JK, today as it is in heaven as it is in heaven today. So instead of car karaoke or whatever that's called, we got Traveling Good Info Cafe. Always mean to deliver good information, good reliable information. So traveling up to Manhattan and making my Saturday video. Once again, the Good Info Cafe is open for the good visitors. So I'm going to talk about who it's open for. Of course, all are invited, but not all will accept the invitation, and not all will then assimilate to the Good Info Cafe. Some we're going to have to throw out, just like you have bouncers. So I got my bouncers out there. You see some of the comments, or when I do live stream to monitor as the bouncers. So maybe that's, instead of calling them monitors, I'll call them bouncers. So I have to think of the question of the day and who or what I'm going to grade. I guess I'll grade New York City. I think I've graded that before. New York City has everything good and bad. So it is the knowledge, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. New York has good and evil as it can be, and as good as it can be, and everything in between. So I guess I give it a C. In the restitution of all things, it'll be back to an A+. And if America keeps sliding and running away from God, then it will get an F. But right now, New York City has a C. And then in terms of priorities, the number one priority for the Good Info Cafe is the survival of life. So the survival of life, the sustaining of life, is the number one highest priority. And so New York City being evil and good priority, I don't know where that fits in. You tell. The question of the day is, where do you think New York City fits in for the end of the age, for the end times, for the end of days? Where does New York City fit in? Where does America fit in? Some are calling America Babylon, and or Babylon America, or Shiloh, or Silla, or something. I like I said, inspired by Jenny and our conversations with Task Force, that always got to Revelation after we talked about the stuff of the day and what George was working on. Within 10 minutes it got to the book of Revelation, and it was really cool to hear George yesterday say that I think Robin Gritz has Jenny's Bible. I'd love to see that, especially if she wrote it. I'll tell the quick story of Task Force, Jenny Moore, and miss her so much. Man, she just contributed so much, and George talks about how things that she talked about are now being verified, and the riff they had about Mike Flynn, and I saw that. I was right in the middle and loved when they got together. It was always staying out of it, but being open and welcoming. And I remember one time we sat in a booth at the restaurant, me, Jenny, and George, and an hour and a half. It was a long time, eating and talking. And when George was doing things, Jenny and I would be talking. So she said she was brought up not religious, I'm pretty sure, in a lot of chaos in her upbringing. She ended up getting scholarships in basketball and being a really good athlete. And by the time I knew her, I could see the athlete inside and the competitiveness in a good way. But you could also see how she'd been beat up. And she was in a lot of pain, no question. But anyway, I feel Jenny's spirit, and that's why I'll always be talking about the book of Revelations and the end times. But she said, not real. I'm pretty sure it was that it wasn't religion's bad or, someone forcing religion, just not religious, but also chaotic. And when she was in her 20s the main point is that someone told her to read the Bible and especially book of Revelations. So she came to it pretty neutral and first read the book of Revelations. Her first introduction to God and Jesus and the God of Abraham and Israel and all that was through the book of Revelations. And that is the coolest thing. And she said that just blew her away. And she dove into it and did research on it. And that's where she started not hearing a lot one way or the other. That is really neat. And that's why it always got to that, because that was the thing that grabbed her. Because you can dismiss it, or you can go, there might be something to this. If you're saying there might be something to this, and you research it, it is amazing. It blows you away, the book of Revelations. Wow. John on the island of Patmos. I was in Ephesus and saw top of a hill where John had been imprisoned, and where Paul sold tents, and where he spoke in the theater. Incredible courage. Speaking of courage, that is my next subject that I want to talk about, that John McDuff was, I think it was yesterday, talking about heroes because of Mike Flynn. And, George, you could get the impression both ways that Mike Flynn, I guess he just ultimately made that decision to save himself, how I understand it, to save himself. He became an informant. How conscious of it was he? But the road to hell is paved with good intentions. But action or trying is different than good intentions. And I'm not pointing at you necessarily. I'm making a point. Very important. But now I forgot. Oh, yes. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Oh, I meant to help. I meant to give the guy on the street some money, but I just forgot. Or, nope. But I tried to love my enemies is not the same thing. Trying and action. Intention is just in your mind. And a lot of people have an intention, and then later on, they act as if, because they thought of something, they actually did it. It's a little bit of mental illness. They fool themselves. But trying is different. Trying is an action. So that helped me with the distinction, because the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but not trying. Trying is a good thing. You can try to love your enemies, and that's real. But you first have to love the godliness inside yourself. The godliness that's in you, created in God's image. You have to love that before you can truly love your enemies, or try to love your enemies. That's all that matters, is you try to love your enemies for real. God knows if it's a real try or not. All right. So I want to get to about the hero thing, but I'll just sing this one. See what I can remember with the lyrics. I'm starting to memorize the new lyrics, because the old lyrics were in my head for so many years. I got it. So I'm not going to get them all, but Do-do-do, down, dossier, I'm down. Collusion, delusion, down, dossier, I'm down. Obstruction of nothing, down, dossier, I'm down. Breaking up is hard to do. Don't go, dossier, away from me. You PP fake paid for by Hillary. If you go, though you're not real, breaking up my heart will still feel. New lyrics. Remember when your lies I'd write. I kissed you on the network news every night. Think of all that we've been through. And breaking up is hard to do. Being paid for making up lies isn't hard to do. But I always knew that you weren't true. Don't say that this is the end. Instead of breaking up our lies, I wish we could make up more lies. Modulation. I beg of you, don't make me cry. Can't we give our hoax another try? Come on, Russia, let's start anew. Reporting true is hard to do. Being paid for making up lies isn't hard to do. I always knew that you weren't true. Don't say that we can't hook up. It's really hard to break up with a lie that was such fun to make up. I beg of you, don't let fake die. Can't we give our hoax another lie? For 2020, we'll just start anew. Cause breaking up cause faking news is hard to. Down, dossier, I'm down. Collusion, delusion, down, dossier, I'm down. Obstruction of nothing, down, dossier, I'm down. Faking news is hard to do. So you see all the ones who bought into that. It's like a relationship that down deep inside you knew wasn't good, and it's a really tough breakup, and you're going to watch the news media, the fake news, and all the lefties who believed the fake Russian collusion and the PP dossier. I think George is one who named it the PP dossier. An obstruction of nothing, because there was no initial crime. And I've heard it's like the magic bullet theory. You know, you hear them try to explain that, and they twist the thoughts, and they're just stupid. And the ones who try to explain, well, you can still have obstruction of, even if there wasn't and they're just so dumb. And they really are dumb. It sounds good to some. I wish I got in that lane. This one's backed up. Why was that? Anyway, I'm looking at the time. All right. So I have, in my life, encountered many famous people, and just in life, it just happened by probably by God's design, but it just happened. Now I'm going slow, so this is fine. Inside the tunnel, the Baltimore Tunnel. Oh yeah, the 3-hour tour is moving along. I heard from John it's $100 a person, so let John know, and he'll let Brent know. And also, I'm going to work for mine. I'm going to open the Good Info Cafe, do a video, do my music, because I know money's tight for everybody. I'm just saying I wouldn't be able to go unless I could work on this. So that was a text from my kids. I hope I can see them all. on this trip. So, where was I? Oh yeah, 3-hour tour. Really cool ship. I think McDuff John is going to confirm things and talk to the captain. So I'm right near where we're going to be. I'm under the water here in Baltimore, the Fort McHenry Tunnel, where the national anthem was written by a lawyer who lived in Georgetown, D.C. Francis Scott Key, and something happened with his son or grandchild or nephew, and a congressperson or something. Anyway, all right. So the question of the day is, how important is it to know about New York City? You know, the Big Apple. Take a bite of the Big Apple. So this world, the beast system, is still pushing exactly what they pushed from the beginning. Nothing new under the sun. History doesn't always repeat itself, but it does rhyme. We get that. There's a spirit of the law and the letter of the law. They've both always been around. They're both important, but Jesus brought more the spirit of the law to the legalists, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and pointed out to the power structure how they weren't doing God's will. And so they had him killed. The Romans are responsible. The establishment leadership of the Jews are responsible, but not the everyday Jewish people. They were in the crowd when Pilate was saying, "Who should I release?" and was really thinking they're going to release Jesus because he didn't do anything wrong. And they were in the crowd going, "Barabbas, Barabbas." I'm saying the Sadducees and their minions and their useful idiots and the Pharisees, they ginned up the crowd and probably paid some people. Same things are going on today. And Pilate's a good example. I wash my hands. Sorry, God's in charge. You can wash your hands all you want. You were part of it, and it doesn't matter. Oh well, they asked for Barabbas, so I'm cleared. That's a legalistic thing. But also, as I'm talking about the law and the Spirit, the 10 Commandments still apply. Jesus made that very clear. I fall short. We all fall short, but Jesus sacrificed himself for us so that because we all fall short. But anyway, where am I? Oh, I'm about to scratch my nose, but don't bring attention to it. A lot of people can just do that and then people move on. So eventually I'll do that. Cherie don't like it. I'm just kidding. I know Cherie doesn't mind. Cherie is awesome. All you who have been at my channel from the beginning, awesome. New people, awesome. So, okay. So I've encountered a lot, and recently I've encountered very famous athletes, and so the only hero, or the hero to measure against, is Jesus, the greatest man ever. He was so great that he's God. That's how great he was. But he was a man. See, I remember growing up kind of being a little confused. He felt the pain of the thorns. He felt the lashes in his back. He felt the nails. Now, I have to verify was the hands or the wrists. Whatever the Shroud of Turin says, the Shroud of the Lord, is what I believe it is. I believe that's his face. The evidence is overwhelming. And then there's the magic bullet types and the official story regurgitators who are like, oh, it was the carbon dating in the 1300s. There's records of the Shroud, hundreds, many years before that. So it's in art, and anyway, I'm not going to get into that one, except for no one can replicate it with all the new technology that we have. No one can replicate what's on the Shroud, three-dimensional information, etc., etc. That's the face. So seek the face of God. Seek the face of the Lord. Seek the face of Jesus. Seek Jesus' face. And it's on the Shroud. All right. So my beard is tickling my nose, but not the teachers who tickle your ears. That's not good. Those are the fake pastors, the fake ministers. A lot of fake going on in the church, and not just the Catholic Church. Although the Protestants love to go after the Catholic Church. Catholic Church probably goes after the Protestants, but they had more power, so they didn't go after them as much. But anyway, how do I say this? This is the main point, and then I'll be wrapping it up, is not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because they actually was a real thing. And I love metaphors or sayings, etc., that are real or based in reality. They actually, it was so dirty that sometimes they would clear the water and there'd be a baby in there, and they could hurt the baby by just tossing it out. Of course, if they toss it out, then they see the baby and hopefully they didn't hurt it, but that's the whole idea. Don't toss the baby out of the bathwater. Even if you do and you see the baby, they might have hit a rock or something. So it's a real thing. So here's my point. There are billionaires who will be on the good side. So yeah, looking for white hats and looking for heroes. There are people who are a member of the establishment who are on the good side. We're going to need everybody, just like the song. Unite the fight, left to right, straight to gay, and black to white, the great awakening worldwide. Now, what did I say? New lyrics. Unite the fight, left to right, LGBTS and black to white. LGBTS, that includes everybody, because you're supposed to be tolerant, right, of good stuff. Don't be tolerant of the bad stuff. Hate can be a good thing if you're hating something bad in yourself. So the main point is there are billionaires. Did I say that one already? There are people in government who are good guys. They're all over. And I want to say that to John O'Laughlin also. Don't despair. There are men and women and plenty of people. Man, why is this so backed up? But I'm safe making the video. All right, there we go. I have to remind myself now I'm back and enjoying this. I'm gonna switch lanes though, maybe. My goodness, how did I end up there was a lane on the other tunnel was like flying. I was not paying attention, that's what it was. I took the hit for the Good Info Cafe. That's separate from me, the Good Info Cafe. I'm the chef, but you know, it's separate. What's the other thing? The iFlap, Information Literacy Action Processor, is also separate. And I want to do a presentation as part of the Good Info Cafe on the 3-hour tour, because that's a system, and George is already using it and likes it and talked about that. Is that one for me? Yeah, baby. Easy Pass is awesome. I recommend you get Easy Pass. 10 miles per hour. Okay. Paid. All right. So iFlap and the double H is double C to double R, as George coined that, and that's awesome. And he talked about context. All those concepts: accuracy, authentic, access, clarity, context, relevance, and refinement, being refined. Those 6, they have overlap, but they spread and cover so much that any subject should go through that filter and end up with value, good value, for good, reliable information. So, back to in this world, you have people in all groups who are going to be helping the good side and who will be hurting the good side, on the bad side. But 70, 10, 10, 10. Only 10% are clearly devil worshippers and murderers and Lucifer is their god, the god of this world. Once again, God allows the devil to deceive us. That's our challenge. We're caught between eternities. If God just said you have to believe in God, this wouldn't be this world, and we'd just be robots. So we have free will. And I was free to say that. And you were free to have that reaction. And you're free to say that you have no free will. But it was your free will that said, no, you don't have free will. Anyway, so big time football player, probably Hall of Famer, nice guy. What it comes down to is he feels blessed with his genetics. He's in his mid-30s and very famous running back. And I'm going to talk like that because, you know, let them say, if they ever see this, which they won't, that I was talking about them. It's what they do with their millions of dollars. It's how they take care of their temple, and give back, because from whom much is given, much is expected. And I'm seeing the time. But this is so important not to be judgmental. We do have to judge, is that a good guy or a bad guy? Not a problem. We're allowed to do that. And when Jesus said, if you go after a fellow Christian without cause, see, the King James Version gets it right. So many other versions don't, and that's part of the beast system. They rewrite things so the people are confused. So anyway, all groups, but 70, 10, 10, 10, only 10% are truly, but only 10% are saints. 70% are go from almost saintly to almost evil, and then 10% cannot be categorized, and that's for the end times. Then in the 1,000 years, there still will be sin, there still will be, it needs to transition to the peace, and then after 1,000 years, and Jesus is going to be, when he returns, is going to rule from Jerusalem, O Israel, O Jerusalem, O New Jerusalem. So I think I'm going to go on this, and I'm wrapping it up. So I got to get out the temple horn, and I can do it small version. So I think that's it so far. I think that's it. Good shofar. I think that's it. Goodbye. Oh, yeah. Some more iced tea. Oh, not much ice in there. Oh, jeez. Okay, I just spilled it on me. Okay. I got napkins over here. Ooh, that's cold. Only like one napkin left. Okay. So, here we go. We break bread. We get spiritual manna. Thank you, Norman, for coining that phrase. Very apropos for the Good Info Cafe. You guys are awesome. Excited about the 3-hour tour. I think the boat will be renamed the Scrunchy. And you guys are just awesome. Thank you for your comments, your feedback, your godliness, your love of nature, and so here we go. Pause the video if you need to get your food. I love hearing what food you had, what we broke bread with. This is iced tea, mostly unsweetened, a little bit of sweet, but mostly unsweetened. So here we go. I know I made some of those noises. I don't like that either. I thought that was it, but it wasn't. I thought that was it, but I had to break bread. And when I say break bread, so many out there are smart enough to know that that means a name for any kind of nutritious input. Nutritious input. All right, I'm now cruising. Set the cruise control, and get the trumpet for Brent, the temple trumpet that collapses. So, and I'm not going to close my eyes. Are we in the end of an age? Of an age, not the end of the world like some dum-dums say. It's the end of an age, dum-dums. And dum-dums is anything that does not maintain the good of the world or does not make the world better. That's what I mean when I say someone's a dum-dum or an organization is a dum-dum or there are a bunch of dum-dums. The Pharisees were dum-dums. there's so these lawyers that so many lawyers in positions of power in government and outside of government are just getting really scared, and they're legalists, and they are just so dumb. So many of them are so dumb, but they're good lawyers too. Remember the formula. Are we in the end of an age?